when I got that call. Brick was killed by 3 shooters.
On the 17th of July 2017, the FBG Brick himself would suffer the same fate, being spotted by 3 individuals while standing on his block at 6300 South St. Lawrence Avenue. A number of men jumped out of a car and opened fire. FBG Brick, real name Jermaine Robinson, tried to run, and the man he was with, Coby, real name Stanley Jacoby Mack, was shot dead on sight, whilst Brick was chased into a gangway where he was sadly shot to death.
If you mention Brick or Coby, you're gonna die.
Brick was heard in the back of FBG Duck's live, stating how proud he was of Taekwon World that they had killed T-Roy.
Look on them on here going crazy. They so happy. It been funny as hell because I know folks know proud. They got him out the way. I know them. I'm on live, G. Shut the f up. It's funny. Before you even get it, it just came on. But still.
And then a car came up the one way and they instantly shot Coby. And Brick tried to run and jump a gate and was shot in the back. And he was also, I'm assuming the way his autopsy report was that as he was running towards the back, somebody was back there waiting on him. So I wasn't aware that he was shot in his face until I got until I went to identify him.
Remember when Trey5 used to stay on St. Lawrence before OBlock? He used to stay on St. Lawrence. But Brick and Coby got killed, and there was multiple people on the hit. They said they came around, shook up with Brick, then they came back around, and then they killed Brick and Coby.
Y'all already know, man, this Chirac rumors, man. Remember, we not saying nobody did shit. We just speaking on rumors. And the rumor we speaking on today is OBlock Trey5 shot and killed FBG Brick and Coby. So look, Brick and Coby and FBG Duck, they all from the low end. They all from 39th Street. Brick and Duck, they would go on, later on in life, they'll go on to start representing 63rd, STL, and Taekwon World. Duck being more STL and Brick being more Taekwon World. Duck would end up being GD, while Brick would end up being BD. Coby was in the streets, but he wasn't like an active gang member like how Brick and Duck was type shit, you know. He wasn't just outright just innocent, but he damn, compared to Duck and Brick, he damn near was innocent. So, Brick being BD, you know, would allow Brick to be in certain places that Duck couldn't be and to get certain type of passes that Duck couldn't get. Everybody was shocked, you know, like when the drill scene was going on, like when it came out that certain members was BD, like Brick BD, Lil J was BD, Lil B BD, Gyro City Motor BD, goddamn it, 051 Melly BD, like when people on this end that's into it with the beat, like Lil Durk and Reese, people be shocked, like, damn, you know, Lil JoJo, Killer Kale, not Lil JoJo, not BD, but, you know, Lil JoJo, he had the BDK shit, but he had Killer Kales with him who BD. He had Killer Chemo with him who BD, so it's like, you know, so Brick one of the BDs that, you know, that people wouldn't expect to be BD. Everybody thought everybody on Duck side and Lil JoJo side was GD, you know, but it was a lot of BDs over there. So, yeah, Brick being BD would allow him to be in certain places that his little brother Duck couldn't be at, and to get certain type of passes that Duck wasn't gonna be able to get on his BD card type shit, you know. One of the reasons that Brick was so close to Taekwon World was because the bullets that hit Taekwon was meant for Brick. Brick had smoke with a member named Gyro City Nick. So this what happened. You know, Brick, Lil Taekwon World ended up getting killed, but the people that was shooting at the people that killed Taekwon, they was trying to kill Brick. So Brick had smoke with some Gyro City members, you know, including Gyro City Nate over some stolen guns. You know, Brick and Gyro City Nate and some members, they damn near went over to OBlock like they was gonna shoot or whatever, and whole time they end up, it was a whole play to steal the guns, and they end up dropping Brick off over there in OBlock. Damn near could have got Brick killed, you know, and they stole Brick guns. So when Brick damn near got back over in Gyro, he ended up breaking a few people's jaws for that shit. He damn near stole on a few people, broke a few people's jaws type shit. So the people came back after Brick broke their jaws or hit them in their shit or whatever. Brick ended up coming back and trying to shoot Brick. They come back, try to shoot Brick and kill Brick. But the bullets, I guess Brick damn near was, had a little Taekwon with him. And you know, when they came to try to shoot and kill Brick, they end up hitting little Taekwon and hitting and killing little Taekwon and shit. And you know, all the people that was close to the situation and shit, they end up creating a set called Taekwon World and little Taekwon on and shit like that. So Brick damn near, that's why Brick's so close to the TWs and shit like that. You know, they whole set got created by some bullets that was meant for Brick type shit, you know. So Brick would end up going to jail for guns for 4 years. And he would end up being on a lot of BD decks. He would end up on like a lot of BDs, around a lot of BDs and shit like that. And you know, specifically the BDs that his little brother Duck, STL and all them is into it with, you know. The whole time, you know, Brick would be getting a lot of passes in jail under the BD Act, you know, even though his little brother is into it with these people in the outside world, they killing each other, you know, Brick would get a pass under the BD Act type shit. So whole time, you know, they was basically honoring his BD card in jail. They was honoring his shit, even though whatever, you know, they had going on in the world, they damn near honoring Brick BD card and shit like that. So one of the enemy BDs that he was locked up with was OBlock Trey5. So boom. OBlock Trey5. Following OBlock Trey5, definitely he was a top dog from OBlock. We're gonna talk a little bit about Trey5. OBlock Trey5, he was a top dog from OBlock, being involved with multiple homicides, multiple shootouts, and having the respect of all the little young shooters in OBlock. You know, Trey5 damn near older than a lot of them, but all the youngins that's getting wild from OBlock, they respect him. You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes how the youngins, they damn near don't respect the old heads and shit, but Trey5, he was one of the older members that had the respect of the killers, the young shorties and shit like that. So boom. Trey5 really from both sides, like as far as the STL and the OBlock shit is concerned, he really from both sides. He got brothers in OBlock, but his mom and his stepdad, you know, first lived on STL. So a lot of the people from STL, including Duck, Brick, and a lot of STL members, they know Trey5 for when he lived over there. You know what I'm saying? Before the war kicked off and all that shit, you know, Trey5 lived over there. So a lot of the people on that end, they know him. You know what I'm saying? So boom, everybody know Trey5. He would end up going to OBlock. The war ended up kicking off after Tuka and Odie Perry died. So boom, friction started to, like between Trey5 and the folks them over there on STL, it started to be a lot of friction. So boom, one of the first initial frictions was Trey5 had a girlfriend by the name of Coby. It's always a female. He had a girlfriend by the name of Coby. So Duck started messing with Trey5 girlfriend. He started messing with the girl Coby and shit like that. So boom, Trey5, he, you know, his ass, he was a jealous type. He on some J Money shit. He wouldn't have died and killed behind this girl. His ass was walking through damn near STL neighborhood with AR-15s and big ass choppers and shit. You know, even though he had a gun, it's like shit. Shorty them, you know what I'm saying? Shorty will snipe your ass from the window type shit. You walk through the alley on some hot shit, knowing that folks them over here want to kill you. So Trey5 would be jealous about Duck messing with his girlfriend the whole time. You know, a few shootouts would happen behind this girl. Like Trey5 come over there tweaking, and you know what I'm saying, get the shooting, and you know, shorty them on STL on Duck's side, and get the shooting back, full blown shootout over this damn girl, over, you know, over really her wanting to be with Duck. Like she Trey5 girlfriend, but she like Duck. Duck got this shit busting. He wanted to, like Trey5 one of the top dogs from OBlock on some street shit, and Duck one of the top dogs from STL on some clout shit. You know what I'm saying, and he in the streets too. You know, so boom. So Duck, he smashed and Trey5, old lady, all this shit. So everything was good between Duck and Coby until the girl Coby ended up getting mad at Duck about Duck messing with other girls or whatever. Ain't that some shit? I'm pulling them. Ain't that some shit? Like, you got a whole boyfriend, you know what I'm saying, from OBlock, and you just messing with me on the side or whatever. But now you mad at me because I'm messing with other females. The whole time you cheating on your boyfriend with me. You know, you like, you know, like, and now you mad at me because I'm messing. Ain't that some shit? But anyway, you know. So the girl Coby, she get mad about Duck messing with other girls, and the whole time she got so mad that she threatened to have to backdoor Duck. She threatened to have OBlock come kill Duck on some backdoor shit, like she gonna drop his load, she gonna tell him where, you know what I'm saying, where he live at, and they gonna come through and kill him. So Duck end up hemming the girl up. Duck end up hemming the girl up, beating up, all type of shit, because she just threatened to have him killed and shit. So the whole time, the girl Corey ended up stabbing Duck. She ended up stabbing Duck, and you know, Duck had to go to the hospital. It was like a real bad stabbing, like Duck ass was bleeding, all type of shit. So the whole time, you know, and Duck ended up rapping about this incident of him getting stabbed by this girl in a lot of songs and shit like that. You know, it was multiple songs where he rapped about this shit. So the whole time, you know, that was the end of Duck and the girl Corey. But the whole time, Trey5 and like you know, OBlock and 600 members, once they found out about this shit, they, you know, they damn near hop on social media laughing, mocking them, you know, making it seem like she stabbed him for Trey5, like Trey, you know what I'm saying? Like she did it because she loved Trey5 type shit, you know. And, you know, they just laughing and mocking him about him getting stabbed by the girl, you know what I'm saying? The whole time, she stabbed him because she was mad that Duck was talking to other girls. Like, you know, they, you know, I guess Trey5, you know, found, you know, some type of light out the situation and tried to, on some delusional shit. Like, she stabbed you for me. She stabbed you, man, she stabbed him because he messing with other girls and she want him all to herself on some she's jealous type shit. She's just like you. On for them, you ready to kill Duck because you jealous, and she ready to stab Duck because she's jealous. On for them, like, both of y'all the same. Y'all deserve each other. Trey5 and the girl Coby, they deserve each other. They keep y'all jealous ass over there. But anyway, so boom. Even more friction. There's already friction between Trey5 and STL and specifically Duck off the female shit with the girl Corey and shit like that. The whole time, even more friction would get brought up between the two when Trey5's stepdad, who like I said, he's Trey5 mom and his stepdad, they lived on STL. So the whole time, Trey5's stepdad ended up getting shot by STL. STL shoot Trey5's stepdad behind Trey5, just strictly because Trey5 is on some bullshit with STL, coming over here shooting up STL. He and OBlock, they damn near goddamn it, you know, some war going on. You know, we claiming the O.D. Perry murder. They done killed Tuka. You know, they claiming Tuka murder type shit. It's murders between the blocks. Trey5 shooting up our block over this girl type shit. You know, people dying over this shit. So STL shoot Trey5's stepdad. You know, just cause he was Trey5's stepdad. So boom. So that caused even more friction. Now Trey5, like, damn, you know, dude them over there, they claiming O.D. Perry murder. You know what I'm saying? One of the main dudes from over there was smashing my girl. Now they done shot my dad. So Trey5 hatred for STL is just getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, so Trey5 personal beef. So boom, you got Trey5 personal beef with Duck over the girl Corey. Then Trey5 dad getting shot by STL. The fact that STL was claiming the murder of Trey5 close friend O.D. Perry, you know, all this is fueling Trey5 hatred for Duck and STL, Brick, all them. And Brick could add even more fuel to the fire when he was locked up with Trey5 and told Trey5 F O.D. Perry to his face in jail, you know what I'm saying? So all this shit just making Trey5 hate STL, hate Duck, hate Brick, you know what I'm saying? Hate that neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? So boom. So like I said, Trey5 and Brick, they's in jail together. You know, whole time ain't nothing really happened to Brick in jail behind, you know, under his because Brick was under the BD Act, and a lot of BDs, they was honoring Brick BD card and shit like that. But in the midst of Brick being in jail, while Trey5 was in jail, you know, he ended up telling Trey5 FOD to his face. So boom, after Trey5 got out of jail, he had a lot of plans to get back at STL. Brick would get out of jail, and Trey5 also would get out of jail. So Trey5, like I just said, all that shit, just making his hatred for that area over there just bigger and bigger, all the shit I just named. So Trey5, he had a lot of plans to get back at STL. And around this time, OBlock just took a big loss. T-Roy just died. T-Roy from OBlock just died. So whole time, OBlock, they on some other shit. The whole time, you know, once again, STL Taekwondo World Names was coming up, and another loss that OBlock just took. STL and Taekwondo World Names, they keep coming up in this shit. So it's just adding on to the hate that he got for them, and that whole area as a whole got for them. So boom. And the names that was coming up in the T-Roy murder was specifically Taekwondo World, TB, Can't Get Right, and Brick. So a group created by OBlock and 600 called Get Back Gang to avenge the death of T-Roy was created. They created a group called Get Back Gang specifically to avenge the murder of T-Roy and to kill them, like STL and Taekwondo World members, but specifically the people that was involved in T-Roy death. And Trey5 was all in on them, like I said, even though he like one of the older guys and shit like that. That's the reason they were the younger guys, the young killers. That's the reason that they respect him, because even though he older, he's still willing to crash like he young like them. You know what I'm saying? So you know they looked at him like as that. They looked at him like he one of us still. You know what I'm saying? He older, but he ain't like one of these other old ass people who they don't want to do this shit no more. Like he's still in this shit. So boom. So weeks and days before the murder of Brick was taunting, because like I said, they just killed T-Roy. So it's like Brick was taunting all they ass on social media. He was taunting Muwap and him had a back and forth. He taunting Cap F12, you know, Mack and Trey5. Like he telling Trey5 like, man, like shit, you already know what happened in jail. I told you that shit to your face. I told you FOD to your face type shit. So you know, like I said, you know, they got this group put together called Get Back Gang. So one day, OBlock and 600, they got in 2 cars, you know, they deep as hell, they got in 2 cars, and they went out on the hunt. They went out looking, you know. So boom, they went to 63rd and St. Lawrence looking for somebody. They looking for people from STL and Taekwondo World to kill and shit. So they go to 63rd and St. Lawrence, and it just so happened that Brick and Coby is outside. They see Brick and Coby. So boom, at first, Trey5 pulled up on Brick with just 1 car, possibly just him in the car, and asked where Duck at. You know what I'm saying? Where Duck? Duck out here. Duck out here. He pulled up in the car like, Duck out here. You know what I'm saying? So Brick hear his little brother name. He hear his little brother name. He go look at the car like, who that? You know what I'm saying? Who that is? So boom, Brick went up to the car, and him and Trey5 had like a brief interaction. On phone them, they had like a brief interaction, and it's being said that, you know, during that brief interaction, Trey5 and Brick shook up BD. On phone them, they shook up BD. You know, like due to Trey5, you know, formerly living in the neighborhood, and due to them sharing the same Black Disciple Nation. This is what I was talking about earlier. Like, you know, Brick, even though we're gonna see how everything play out in a second, but like, you know, this ain't the only instance. This just an instance where we talking about it, where the shit kind of went left. But like, this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, Brick being BD made it where he can be in jail with the BDs that's killing his block on the outside. Like, cause it's like Brick from a GD block, or he rotate with GDs. Like, he rotate with the STL, he rotate with Taekwondo World, which is predominantly like a GD area. You know what I'm saying? So, but Brick BD, so even though he on some STL Taekwondo World shit, he can go to jail and damn near be around the BDs that's at war with Taekwondo World and STL. So, you know, this is just like another instance where like the BD shit is damn near, you know what I'm saying? It kind of just changed it. Not specifically in this instance, but in a lot of other instances, like Brick damn near was able to just float through shit. You know what I'm saying? Even being way from, he able to damn near just float through situations without, you know, like consequences that another person from that block would face. Like another person from STL or Taekwondo, they'll face consequences being around BD. But Brick, he BD, so is he damn near, and people knowing what it is. They knowing he from STL. They know Duck his brother. They know all this shit. You know, not everybody going for it, but there's a lot of situations where he was able to flow through situations, you know what I'm saying, without, you know, consequences that other people would face and shit. So boom. So Brick, he walk up to the car, him and Trey5 have a brief interaction, and, you know, they shake up BD on phone them, you know, and Trey5 drive off. He drive off. So boom. This why I say shit went left. This why I say shit went left. Because seconds later, after driving off, the car would come right back, you know what I'm saying? And it said that 3 shooters hopped out the car, instantly shot and killed Coby. They hopped out the car and popped Coby instantly, you know what I'm saying? Killed him, like right off the bat, you know what I'm saying? And after that, you know, they had chased Brick through a gangway, and, you know, Brick would be killed while trying to jump the fence, you know what I'm saying? Like, while he was trying to jump the fence, they shot him all up in his back and killed him and shit like that. And, you know, it said that even if Brick made it over the fence, it was another car on the other side waiting for him. You know what I'm saying? So, and that shit just let people know even more that this was a carefully planned hit. You know what I'm saying? You know, like this shit was like carefully planned type shit. Trey5 pull up, you know, words just, you know, people saying damn near, I feel like Brick and them should have moved around after that shit. Like after Brick shook up BD with Trey5, he, like I'm pretty sure Brick, he knew, like man, this ain't right. Don't fool them. Like he, first of all, he talking about where Duck at. Then I go up to the car, and they fake kicked it with each other. Like, they both know what's going on. Like, even though Brick BD, they both know what's going on. But, you know, Trey5 and Brick, you know, they on some like, alright, word, you know what I'm saying, whatever, you know what I'm saying, BD, you know, they fake kicking it with each other. They know what's going on. But, you know, after the car drove off, I feel like Brick and Coby should have just got up out of there fast as hell. Because it's like, that shit, you know what I'm saying? You know, but, you know, shit played out how it played out. But anyway, so Brick and Coby, they were both killed on 63rd and St. Lawrence. And a lot of people point out how much of a cold-blooded killer that Trey5 had to be to shake up BD with Brick right before he came back and killed him. You know, like that's some movie shit. I'm feeling them. That's some goddamn Lions film shit. Like you did what? Then you did what? You just shook up. Like that's like when the GD shaking up GD with his homie, you know, and then come back and killing him right after you shake up GD with him. You know what I'm saying? You know, so that shit crazy, but you know, that's what a lot of people saying, you know, took place and shit like that. So, you know, So the people that is being said that was on the hit was obviously Trey5, then McAdoo from 600, HK from OBlock, Cap F12 from 600, and C Murder from OBlock. Police end up flooding the block, and you know, Duck, FBG Duck, and his mom can be seen on video on the block breaking down, crying and shit like that. A lot of people, they probably seen the picture and the video that I'm talking about. So boom, ironically, later on down the line, C Murder will also be convicted for the murder of Duck, FBG Brick brother. So, you know, he implicated in the Brick murder. You know, it's being said that he was on the hit for the Brick murder. And then, like 3 years later, you know, he went on the Duck murder. And he ended up going to court and getting found guilty for that shit. So, he killed both brothers. If you let the streets tell it, if you let the court system tell it, if you let Trey5 tell it. We gonna get to the Trey5 telling it in a second. But according to Trey5, he killed both brothers. He killed Brick and he killed Duck. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So crazy. And you know, everybody knows C Murder, he got convicted of Duck killing along with Moo-Wop and C-Thang and shit like that. So boom. Y'all, you know, I know some people already know, but we just gonna break it down for the people who don't know. Trey5 is also the member that King Von, T-Roy, and Boss Top robbed Chief Keef for. So they can get, so remember when Von and T-Roy and Boss Top robbed Keef for the chain? They robbed him so they could get the Johnny Dang chain or whatever they was gonna get up out of there and go sell the chain. They was doing all this shit to get 5 out of jail. Trey5, you know what I'm saying, was in jail, and they was trying to get bond money to get him out, and Keef wasn't going, Keef flexing on their ass. So they robbed Keef for his chain, and they was gonna go sell the chain so they can go get 5 out. This the member that they did Keef dirty for. This the person that they snake Keef for on phone number. You know what I'm saying? So boom. Look, ironically, the same member that they robbed Chief Keef for would end up becoming a snitch. Y'all robbed Keef, and dude ass end up becoming the police. Like, y'all robbed Keef, Chief Keef, for a person who end up snitching on all the guys and shit, like, or a lot of the guys, or certain members and shit like that. Y'all robbed the go to y'all hood for a person who would later become a snitch. Don't y'all feel dumb as hell on phone now. But, Boss Top, because you're the only one that's still alive, you know. But anyway, Trey5 would end up snitching on McAdoo from 600 and Lil Scud from OBlock in the murder of 2 women. It's also being said that Trey5 is working with the feds on the murder of the Brick and Coby shit, the shit we talking about, you know, in an attempt to bring the other shooters to justice in exchange for a lighter sentence. So he gonna snitch on the Brick and Coby murder, even though he was on the hit, even though he probably damn near led the hit. Like I said, he rode up to Brick and shook up BD with Brick, and you know, and drove off, and then came back, and then they hopped out the car and killed Brick. You know, whole time. They probably, you know, whatever, they probably was on some shit like, like people in their position, like, go set up the other car right here. So if they try to run, anyone of them try to run, you know, y'all can catch them type shit, you know. And yeah, you know, like, so if Brick would, even if Brick would have made it over the fence, there was another car sitting there waiting on them type shit. So, yeah, man, so Trey5 is snitching on a murder that he was involved in to try to get a lighter sentence. But it's crazy because he already snitched on other murders, like the McAdoo and the Lil Scud murder. He already snitched on that murder, and now he's snitching on this murder. You know what I'm saying? And McAdoo, he snitched on McAdoo twice. He snitched on McAdoo with the Out West murder with the Lil Scud shit, and then he just snitched on McAdoo again with the Brick and Coby shit, you know? But McAdoo died in jail, so the whole time, you know, ain't no prosecuting McAdoo, he not even here no more. But, yeah, it's just crazy that Top, Von, and T-Roy, y'all robbed Chief Keef, the god of y'all shit, the god of OBlock, the person who made OBlock known to the world. Y'all robbed him for this person who ended up snitching on multiple people from y'all block. Y'all damn near, you said that's stupid to me. Like, if you you shouldn't rob Chief Keef no matter what. But if you gon' rob Keef, like, it should be for, you know what I'm saying? A person that's certified, you know what I'm saying? Type shit, you know? But even though Trey5, you know, he was a killer and all that shit, it's like, you know, his ass went on to end up being a police. So he was certified at the time that y'all did it. But the whole time, you know, just looking back on the situation, it's like, damn, he was certified at the time, but he ended up going on to be a rat, you know? Like, damn, we should never even ride Keef for doing that. Like, we feel dumb as hell for doing that shit. I get Chief gets Johnny Dang chain back. But, yeah, man, so 1 week after the murder of Brick and Coby, Get Back Gang would finally catch up to T-Roy's actual killer, cause Brick name be getting brought up in the T-Roy shit on some shit like he dropped T-Roy location to TV, like Brick ain't actually do the shit, but they Get Back Gang end up finally catching up with the person who actually killed T-Roy, which is Taekwondo World TB, man, you know, and everybody know how everything played out. But RIP to Brick, RIP to Coby, RIP to T-Roy, RIP to Duck, and RIP to TB, man. There's Chirac rumors. Remember, we not saying nobody did shit. We just speaking on rumors, man. Y'all already know what's going on.
Hated when I got that call. Brick was killed by 3 shooters.
On the 17th of July 2017, the FBG Brick himself would suffer the same fate, being spotted by 3 individuals while standing on his block at 6300 South St. Lawrence Avenue. A number of men jumped out of a car and opened fire. FBG Brick, real name Jermaine Robinson, tried to run, and the man he was with, Coby, real name Stanley Jacoby Mack, was shot dead on sight, whilst Brick was chased into a gangway where he was sadly shot to death.
If you mention Brick or Coby, you're gonna die.
Brick was heard in the back of FBG Duck's live, stating how proud he was of Taekwon World that they had killed T-Roy.
Look on my head going, Trey, they so happy. It been funny as hell, because I know folks know proud. They got him out the way. I know I'm on live, G. Shut the f up. It's funny. Before you even get it, it just came on. But still.
And then a car came up the one way, and they instantly shot Coby. And Brick tried to run and jump a gate, and was shot in the back. And he was also, I'm assuming the way his autopsy report was, that as he was running towards the back, somebody was back there waiting on him. So I wasn't aware that he was shot in his face until I went to identify him.
Remember when Trey5 used to stay on St. Lawrence before OBlock? He used to stay on St. Lawrence. But Brick and Coby got killed, and there was multiple people on the hit. They said they came around, shook up with Brick, then they came back around, and then they killed Brick and Coby.